we're going to be talking about how to go from hustle to leverage and how you can start automating your marketing and sales using AI so that you can start buying back your time and energy. Most business owners that I know just end up grinding themselves to the bone, not creating any sort of results in the business. So this is exactly how we avoid it. In the next 45 minutes, I'm going to show you guys exactly why you're likely sitting on just mountains of revenue without even knowing it. One of our clients came to us and we ended up pulling an extra $2.1 million in revenue that they didn't even know they had. I'm going to show you our systems to automate content, admin, delivery using AI, how we're actually using AI to automatically pre-qualify, book, follow up with all leads 24/7. So meaning that you don't have to have an army of setters. And then how you can scale a business that you love to run without sacrificing your life in the process, because that's the key. There's no point in building a business if you can't share it with anybody and you can't enjoy it. By the end of the 45 minutes, you'll see exactly why the old model is failing you. This is the same exact reason why so many business owners are grinding themselves to the bone. And like I said, they're not getting any further. They're completely stuck. They're completely stagnated without being able to move forward. I'm going to show you how to create leverage inside of your business using AI, how you can create 10x growth, which is flow, instead of going for the 2x growth, which is all about hustle and grind. A lot of business owners think that they can just throw money and team at the problem, but the problem with this is it creates bloat. It actually reduces the resources that you're able to use in the future to continue to grow the business. So instead, I'm going to be showing you how to create lean teams and lean systems that give you back time, margin, and energy. I'm also going to be showing you the new model of creating consistent and sustainable scale, not by quote unquote more, but by better. So this is going to eliminate the stress, trauma, and burnout that comes with growing businesses. And it's actually going to build the business that feeds you instead of the other way around. Who is this for? Typically, this is for people that have proven expertise, product, service, anything that helps people and changes lives. If you're generating anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 a month, at least consistent over the last few months, then this is also going to be super helpful for you. And if you have any case studies, testimonials, and reviews that you can actually leverage in your marketing, then again, this is going to be very much useful. Who this is not for, though, is for people that are just getting started or have no proof of concept. There's a lot of things in here that'll be great to cover, but it's just not going to be that relevant. It won't really make sense. If you're below $30,000 a month, as well, same thing. It's going to be great for you to know and good for you to know what to implement when you get to these levels, but it's just not going to make as much sense before then. And then also, this is not for people that are the types of people that just want to scale at all costs, because again, I'm not here to help people build businesses that completely burn them out, stress them out, and create overwhelm. I'm here to actually help you free up your time and energy so you can spend it in more important areas of your life, like for example, your family. Who am I? I'm not going to spend too much time here because let's be real, nobody really cares. But some important information, just so you know who I am, is I've spent 4 years behind the scenes of 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs. I've been marketing and creating systems for them that they can continue to grow. I've generated over $10 million in client results through the words that I've written, through the systems that I've created for them. And I've been part of the problem that I'm going to be addressing, because just like a lot of us, we go into the industry thinking that more is the solution, that we just need to throw ourselves fully into the problem. But I've contributed to the burnout of entrepreneurs, and I've actually even done it myself, because I've built a business that I didn't enjoy running, thinking that that's just how you do it, thinking that that's just the norm, but it's not. You have to create systems, you have to create processes that actually work for you, that allow you to run the business that you enjoy running without sacrificing your lifestyle for it. So if that's not enough for you, you can hit me up on social media and I can tell you more about myself, but that's me. Now that as we jump into it, you have to understand 3 key paradigm shifts so that everything that I cover is gonna make a lot more sense. This is exactly what's gonna change the way you operate and think around your business, especially when it comes to growth. So efficiency is not effectiveness. Most businesses are efficient, but they're far from effective, which is what keeps them stuck in the hustle and grind. I'm gonna give you a quick distinction between the two. Efficiency is doing things right, and effectiveness is doing the right things. If you don't know who Peter Drucker is, he is a legendary consultant, wrote the book called The Effective Executive, really good book. But this is exactly the problem with our industry, is that people go in, they start doing things right, like they might be doing sales and marketing right, but they don't have the foundational pieces to it to be able to scale on top of it. So they focus on efficiency first, which is why they're not effective over the long term. We want to flip that around and create effective businesses so you can build efficiency on top of it and not have any sort of ceilings on scale. Prime example of this is most business owners are literally sitting on 6 figures worth of untapped revenue inside of their business. So I was brought in, again, I've already mentioned this, I was brought into a business where they thought all of their leads were dead, but they just wanted to see if they could revive them. Little did they know is we pulled $2.1 million in revenue out of that. What happens is that we're told to obsess over more. You just need more leads, more calls, more sales. That's it. And your problems will be solved. That is not true. This is where all lead issues come from, because if you just throw more leads at the problem, it's just like having a bucket with holes in it. You're going to throw more water in it and it's just going to pour out. And this is what happens with most businesses. They think they need more leads or more calls. And then when they get them, they don't get much out of it. So this is the problem that we're exactly solving for. So quick proof of what I was just talking about is I messaged one of the CTO who talked with the chief of sales to see if if they did any campaigns in the past to the leads that they already had. The answer was no. And this was the first 5 days of me working with them. This was back in 2023. Between September 22nd and September 27th, $67,500 came from that. After that, things really started to pile up. In October, we generated $95,000. November really blew up, $340,000 without a Black Friday offer, might I add. And December, it was $212,000, or about 182 collected. This is the power of what I'm going to be talking about. By the time March rolled around, I did some math, or I should say late February, I did some math. And between the end of September and the end of February, we already crossed the $1 million mark. And then I did math again. And between the beginning of March and the end of October of just this past year, we collected another $1.1 million. Again, I want to note that these are from leads that they already had. This wasn't just necessarily running more ads, hiring more team, scaling everything up, throwing more. It's just creating better systems inside of the business that allowed for more growth using less. So this is what most people are actually missing out on, and they're sitting on mountains of revenue without even knowing it. The second key paradigm shift here is that more is not better. So I've already kind of repeated this a couple times, but it's worth repeating over and over again. The old way of running businesses, and I've known this because I've talked to so many business owners, is they're mostly unprofitable. Most of them are bloated. A lot of them are chasing next month's revenue to pay off last month's expenses. And like I said, for this like the third or fourth time I'm saying this, but they're sitting on gold mines. The founders, typically, the people that I work with, are stressed out, burned out, overworked, underpaid, and inconsistent. A lot of people talk about like, oh, I just have an inconsistency in lead flow, I have an inconsistency in calls, or whatever. They create all these problems, but that's because the founder themselves is the problem. It's where all the bottlenecks happen. This is the consequence of building businesses the old way. So this happens because most of these founders can't actually let go of tasks that can be automated, eliminated, or delegated to AI, to team. In general, they're just doing tasks that are worth like $5, $10, $15, when in reality, they should just be focusing on tasks that are worth $5,000, $10,000 per hour. So part of this is content creation. And the reason I have asterisk there is because if you're filming, then you can't fully outsource it yet. I think there are some tools that actually allow you to create characters and you basically don't even have to show up on camera. I don't know enough of it yet to speak on it. So for now, I'm just going to say that you can fully automate and systemize the written portion of content creation. Delivery can also be automated, delegated, or certain parts of it eliminated. And then same thing with lead generation and call booking, and even just taking the calls. These are all parts where entrepreneurs and where founders are spending most of their time on, and it's pulling them away from the important task. It's like being the captain of the ship, cleaning the decks, cooking for the crew, plugging up and fixing any leaks instead of actually steering the ship. Like that ship is not going to leave port. That's the biggest problem. Instead, the new way is having a business that has lean teams, leverages processes and AI workflows and agents, creates better acquisition and retention processes, and then going into the next month with business already coming in instead of chasing new leads next month, hoping that you beat the month prior. When you do it this way, founders are typically focused. They're in their zone of genius. They're actually in flow. They're enjoying what they're doing. They wake up without actually being stressed or anxious about anything. They have more time than they know what to do with on their hands, which is fine. They can dig deeper into their faith. They can go spend more time with family, or actually just expand themselves as human beings instead of just being a business owner and that being their entire identity. And they're more so focused on the vision and actually steering the ship. That's the entire premise of it. So they're mostly looking like this guy right here, where you can see the team in the background just doing their thing. The captain's not worried about what the cooks are doing or what the cleaners are doing, because he trusts that that's all done. All he has to worry about is guiding the ship forward. If you guys ever read the book Who Not How, this is a big premise of it. It's like, it's not how do I do things myself, it's who can I bring on board that can actually take the work off of my plate, so that I can focus on my zone of genius and create that 10x growth rather than 2x, which is all based on hustle and grind. The last point here is that leverage beats hustle every single time. Very obvious thing to say, but a lot of us entrepreneurs, especially me including, we wear our burnout, our hustle and grind, our just the hours that we work with a badge of honor. Like we wear our exhaustion with a badge of honor. That's just not how you grow sustainable businesses. Nobody's going to reward you for working hard. If you want to go work hard, go work at a restaurant. They work like, you can work up to 10, 12 hours at a restaurant serving people. I'm from Canada, where oil and gas in our region is really big. Go work on the oil rigs. You can make six-figure income from there, working 12 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week. That's hard work, but that's not how you build businesses. Businesses are built with leverage. So let's take a look at this guy, for example, Richard Branson. This guy's a billionaire. Billionaires are notorious for being burnt out, stressed out, unhealthy, completely miserable. Yet this guy's living a lifestyle business. He's going to space, living on his private island, jet skiing with women behind it. And even in the quote right here, he says, when it's not fun, move on. Like, what other billionaire talks about that? Even if you compare him to Elon Musk, for example, two different billionaires, two completely wildly different lifestyles. Of course, it's based on their values, but Richard Branson is who we want to actually pay attention to because, again, me included, a lot of us will look up to these businesses where we're like, oh my God, they're so amazing. They're doing great things, but you just do not see what's going on in the behind the scenes. Again, they're probably burnt out, stressed out, overwhelmed, underpaid, but on paper, everything seems like it's fine, but it's not. So Richard is who we want to actually model after. This is what he does is he creates systems, he creates leverage. And speaking of leverage, you've probably seen this guy, Naval Ravikant. The guy's from Silicon Valley. If you haven't read his book, actually, it's technically not his book, someone else wrote it for him, but it's called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Inside, you'll find this concept that he talks about, which is the 4 types of leverage, or like the 4 C's. Collaboration, which is all about team and people. Capital, all about money. Content, pretty self-explanatory, the content they put out. And then code. In this case, when I talk about code, it's about AI and AI automation. Content, again, pretty self-explanatory. It's the things you post on Facebook, Instagram, the YouTube videos, etc. Capital is the cash that you actually generate from your business, which again, I'm going to repeat myself here, but a lot of businesses are lacking the capital leverage because they're so bloated. Like there's no profit margins left over. I'm going to tell you an interesting story in a few slides here, and they just cannot grow. And then collaboration, this is the easiest way to create leverage is just to hire more people. But again, that's what puts a strain on the different levels of leverage. If you focus on all 4 levels, but then optimize for code, which you don't need permission, typically you don't need that much money for it, especially compared to collaboration like people, you're going to be able to go miles further than where most businesses are at. So this is an important key to understand. This is a source from Deloitte here, and I want to just kind of point out a couple graphs here to show you the importance of AI. 35% of companies are using AI technology in their business right now. AI came out, I mean, technically AI has been a thing for like decades now, but it truly came out like probably in 2022, like a usable version of it. 99% of Fortune 500 companies have incorporated AI into their operations. 67% sales increase through the implementation of chatbots. 25% of businesses have turned AI to mitigate labor shortages. 47% of businesses are considering AI instead of hiring new employees. The reason I show all this, if multi-billion-dollar companies are focusing on getting back into AI or implementing AI into their businesses, might be a sign to actually do the same. Some other sources that I want to show you, again, so I know there's a lot here, but the size of the bubble represents the amount of AI use cases or the amount of companies that are using AI inside of their businesses and which industry they're in and which, I guess, like niche they're in. As you can see, marketing and sales takes the top across the board, and it does not matter which company you run. Marketing and sales is the #1 industry that's being used, or where AI is being used to actually create leverage. Also very important to pay attention to. The next one here, McKinsey & Company. By the way, this is like the world's biggest consulting company that's done research on this. If you look at this is the revenue increase. Again, if we look at marketing and sales, 53% of companies have noted that there was an increase in revenue in the first half of 2024. By the end of it, there was a 66% increase. The light blue increase is an increase of 5% or less. This is 6 to 10, and then 10 and above. Now, I know that these numbers, it's like, oh, whatever, like an increase in 10% of revenue, like who cares? These studies were done on like multi-billion dollar corporations. So 10% of revenue for them is like $50 million, or that's like 5%. So don't pay attention as much as like these are tiny increases. Think about the scale that this is being used for. For you, just think about also the time and the revenue is going to be able to grow. On the flip side of this, look at the cost decrease. Again, if we look at marketing and sales here, 37% of companies have noted that there was a decrease in expenses, whether it's up to 10% or even up to 20% in expenses just by implementing AI into their business. If you use service operations here, same thing. There's a massive amount of decrease in revenue. This is how you reduce bloat. Instead of hiring more people, you implement more systems and more AI to streamline your business, to create more margins so that you actually have capital as a leverage to continue to grow your business and to enjoy it yourself, because you deserve a vacation from time to time. So with that being said, like, how do you create effectiveness that then turns into efficiency? How do you create better systems and operations that then allow you to build more on top of it? And how do you create leverage that then turns into freedom? So let's jump into it. You do not do it by volume scaling. And what volume scaling is basically building a house of cards with no foundation. This is how most business owners are taught to build their business. This goes back to the same premise I already mentioned. More calls, more sales, more leads. That's all that you need. Who cares about everything else? It does not matter unless you bring in more of that. That's volume scaling. That's exactly how you burn out. The problem with that is that you create a mass amount of burnout. So I was chatting with one of my friends over dinner who used to run a $300,000 a month business. And it's hilarious because now he's scaled all the way back down to 50 to 75K a month. And he mentioned that the thought of scaling back above $100,000 a month is just traumatizing to him. This is why, is because systems and operations and processes start to break, and it all falls on the founder to deal with. Like, you wake up every single morning not knowing if your business is going to survive another day. You go into the next month not knowing if your business is going to surpass last month or even keep up with it. Like, that's how you create burnout, is it completely saps your energy, and then you don't have any energy left to build upon. This is where inconsistency also comes from. Your revenue starts to fluctuate because you don't have anything stable to support growth or to maintain it or to retain it. Because the founders and the team members are so soaked into like trying to push more into the business, they're grinding even harder to produce more volume. And that saps them of the time. And when you sap yourself of the time and energy, what ends up happening is that your personal life starts to suffer, your health starts to suffer, your mental health starts to suffer, your relationships start to disband from you. I worked with a client that his girlfriend literally had to call him out to be better. They're really serious, they're talking about a future, but she had to call him out. It's like, if you don't fix anything now, like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with having kids with you. Like, that's pretty serious. So if you do not set up the proper systems early, you're not going to be able to really sustain anything. So that's why I want to talk about the 3 major business bottlenecks that I see and how you can solve them, again, using AI, some of the systems and processes that we're using, just to give you ideas so you can start implementing them right away. The first spot is qualified lead generation and call booking. Literally, this is the #1 problem in any business, so I'll talk about how to fix it. Operations is #2, and then admin is #3. So diving into qualified lead generation and call booking, the 2 aspects of it that take most amount of time and that just kind of drain people the most is #1, content creation. Most people, including me, so my background's I'm a copywriter, marketer, there's a struggle to just get into flow, to start writing content. Like, it requires a little bit of time for you to get into the energy, to get ideas, to then start writing, to then edit it. Like, that's where all the time goes through. For me, it would take hours to complete content for myself. It would take hours for me to complete content for clients. It just saps everything. The problem with this is content is typically the main lead generation aspect. And when I say content, it's not just organic, it's also ads, because you have to write the ads and actually film them. If you stop producing content, chances are your leads probably stop coming in as well. And that's sort of the death trap of content, is like, yes, it's a high leverage activity, but you can still use AI. You can still use systems and processes to automate high leverage tasks so that you can still get back more time and energy. So the goal, or what we've done to alleviate this, is we created something called the AI Marketer, where basically we train a bot on the voice, the values, the beliefs, the offers, the business of our clients, and it just completely takes care of all the content. We just feed it a couple easy prompts, and then it spits out the content. Again, for me, I'm a copywriter, so I'm really picky with what actually goes to the client, what doesn't. So I'll typically sit through and actually like edit the content and then feed it back to train it. But the important part here is it eliminates the time it takes to actually get into flow, eliminates the time it takes to create ideas for the post and to write it. Basically, for me, all it does is spits it out. I now have a complete, like 80% completed product. I tweak it a bit, use it. That cuts down my time by like half. And for clients, because we're doing it, they don't have to do it anymore. Or if they are using the bot themselves, it's the exact same process. For them, they might not be as picky, so they just use it anyways. So it cuts down their time of creating content by like 90, 95%. Call booking and conversion is the other piece of it. So qualifying leads to get on sales calls that might not be a fit. This is the biggest problem. This is where most of the time is wasted. So I want to remind you that as a founder, there are multiple different tasks that pay different hourly wages. $5 tasks, $15 tasks, $100 tasks, $5,000 tasks. Most business owners, most founders are actually taking some of these calls themselves, or they'll hire a bunch of team for it. But again, remember, team starts to take away from the margin, especially if they're like on commission basis. Like sales teams are actually super sneaky. So one of the businesses, I literally talked to a co-founder of a multi-8-figure business, and he was telling me how despite making multiple 8 figures every single year, he ended up bringing in accountants into the business to just run the math, and they were losing money with every single business. So the business wasn't even profitable. The founder was barely getting paid, if at all getting paid. How does a multi 8-figure business become unprofitable? Because of this. First of all, teams get super bloated, so margins shrink. Second of all, because these 8-figure businesses are so focused on volume and creating more traffic and getting more calls in, that requires more sales team. When you have more sales team, even if they're working on commission basis, those commissions start to really creep up. So along with all the payments you're making to your team, commissions stack up. Now you have very little margin left over. What we do now, instead of having founders, do the like $100 task or the $50 task of qualifying these leads and sitting on calls with them, and instead of building this army of setters and army of closers, we just implement an AI conversion specialist that does all the pre-qualification, it does all of the follow-up, does all the call booking for them. And instead of dealing with a bunch of no-shows, one of the worst parts about when I was running ads for myself is I didn't even know this, but you had to outbound dial all the leads that opted in. Because if you didn't, the odds of them actually booking a call and going down the funnel dropped by like 80%. So reluctantly, I started outbound dialing. But the problem is, I didn't necessarily want to hire someone yet because I didn't have the systems for it. Second of all, I had other things to do. I wasn't just going to sit by my GHL screen just waiting for the leads to opt in and then outbound them. Like I had to create other assets. I had to actually fulfill client work. I had other things to do. I had better things to do. And so I would miss out on a bunch of leads, which inevitably didn't actually book into calls. So when we implement this for clients, typically what they see is like a 50% increase in call bookings because we're really quick with speed to lead. Within the first 3 to 5 minutes, you have to be outbound in the call, communicating with them, or the lead, sorry. Our AI does it within the first 2 minutes because most people, when they opt in, they're at the highest level of intent possible. So you want to capitalize on that energy and get them focused on what you are doing, what you're providing, instead of them backing out, continuing the scroll, or getting distracted by life. You want to continue the conversation because all prospects, really, all they want to do is feel heard, understood, and valued. If you communicate with them instantly, if you reach out to them instantly and just actually chat with them, hear what their issues are, they're going to feel all that. They're more likely to actually book a call with you rather than expecting them to go through the entire funnel by themselves and then book a call with someone that they don't even know. They just never even heard from you. You either create a warm connection and then guide them to the end, or you just let them off. And this is why most business owners struggle with booking calls, is because they just don't have any systems in place to actually lead these people into call bookings. So it reduces friction greatly. Number 2 is operations. So one part of this is the manual onboarding. Typically, a lot of clients, what they'll end up doing is they'll close the deal and then handhold the prospect to onboarding. So they'll manually click payment, manually send the contract, manually start adding them to all these different things, or like if they're good and advanced, they'll pass them off to someone else that still does everything manually. And what ends up happening is that when you close a deal, it just creates more work. I've done this myself, and subconsciously, if you like don't like something, you're not going to do it. Like smart entrepreneurs do not scale into pain. If closing more deals means more work equals more pain, you're just subconsciously going to shoot yourself in the foot. Not only that, but you also create false expectations with your client where you're always available. Now this client starts to become needy. This is where issues start to roll up. And this is where they stop kind of doing the work because they're like, oh, like I can just reach out to this guy, ask any question, and just like get them to do most of the work, and then I'll just get the results. That's not how it works. Again, with this, we'll just set up a basic onboarding process automation for them where the payment goes through and then all the steps following are now automated where the founder, the closer, the setter doesn't even have to focus on doing anything. They get passed off to the right person. They complete all the steps and the tasks that they need to. Now this person self-onboards themselves, and we call this the automatic onboarding. They just get to where they need to be completely automatically. This reduces hours worth of just hand-holding, and it reduces the amount of work that needs to go in so you can now scale faster and further. To piggyback on this, the second part is the client delivery. So I was chatting with a prospect who was averaging 30 to 40 calls per week between sales calls and client calls. The problem though is this person would go back and forth with clients and they had a CRM where it was like this half done for you, half coaching consulting offer where every time the client would complete a task, it was now on him and his team to complete the rest of the process. The problem, because this guy was so busy, is sometimes he would completely miss out on the fact that the client did their part of the work. And sometimes it would take weeks for him to notice and to actually pass them off to the right team member so that they can continue the process. So this means slow fulfillment, which means bad customer experience because of slow results. Again, this is just all about creating AI agents, workflows, and automations that take that off of your plate because your clients should be gliding through this process smoothly instead of just getting completely stuck on, waiting for you to actually fulfill the work for them. So completely eliminating any of these bottlenecks. And then lastly, admin. So there's email management where some business owners just get inundated with emails and most of them go unnoticed for weeks. Sometimes communication breaks down or opportunities get lost. And it just creates this overwhelm where it's just this like annoying admin work that they know they need to do, but they just don't have the time or energy to do it. So instead, we create an AI agent that basically goes through and filters their email inbox for them based on what's important, what's urgent, and what they need to ignore. And then especially what's urgent, it now can text them the summary of the email so that they can now respond to it in a timely fashion. And if that's still too much for them to like actually respond per email, the AI can draft a response, send it to them just to clarify. And then at that point, all it takes is, yeah, go send. So instead of sitting down, filtering through all the emails, writing responses, sending them out, all our clients have to do is, cool, let me just send a text on my phone. I'll get the summary. The replies will get filtered if that's what they want, or the replies get created. And then all they have to do is just basically approve the message, and that's it. Automating email management. Like if you are in your inbox managing it, this is the lowest leverage task that you could possibly be doing. That's robbing you of time from actually helping you grow the business. And then the last piece of this is hiring. So people leave. It's just natural. Assistants, sales teams, closers, setters, marketers, it does not matter. You're going to turn over some people eventually. The problem with this is it takes a lot of time to hire and train. For me, one of the biggest mistakes I made is I knew I had to fire someone. I didn't fire them. Eventually they left. And then because I was in the midst of travel, I now had to scramble to hire someone. Luckily, I was able to do it within 24 hours and find a good candidate. But even then, the training takes a long time. In fact, when I did hire that person, I actually quit a couple days later. So it just creates this mess of stress and overwhelm if you don't have any systems for hiring. And like I mentioned earlier, if you hire more people, that just means lower margins typically. So to fix this, I always recommend our clients to just have an AI first mentality. Like, do you really need a person to take care of this? Or do you just need an automation or an AI bot to just take care of it? Typically, the AI can just do it, or a simple automation can do what they're looking to do. So an AI first mindset is going to greatly help you in increasing time, energy, and margin in your business. So every single business deals with these things, even the 8-figure ones that I was talking about. And this is exactly why I created a system called AI Growth OS, so AI Growth Operating System, where it's a front to back, basically a solution that helps solve all these problems. The only pillar here that's not included is the sales alchemy pillar, where we basically take dead leads and turn them into paying clients. But I've already talked about that, so you know the gist of that. In terms of creating a sticky ecosystem, the whole concept of this is just creating, like I said, an ecosystem where when people come in, they don't want to leave. Like the whole key is people know how to acquire, they just don't know how to retain. So we create a retention system where people come in, they're instantly contacted, they're instantly given value, and this is where the pre-selling starts to happen. And we take care about all of that for them. Like I mentioned, a lot of people are good at acquiring but not nurturing or retaining. This is why we have the conversion moats. So just like castles have a moat around them to protect them, these conversion moats protect these businesses from random ad blocks or ad account shutdowns or social media blackouts, or just anything else. Like if any of these happen, you can just basically take your list of assets and list of leads and just continue to get sales day in, day out. With these conversion modes though, if you understand the 97-3 rule, which is the fact that 97% of people that enter your world are not ready to buy right now, they might be ready to buy in a week, a month, or next year. If you understand that, then you know the value of actually keeping up with these people. Because instead of throwing your ad dollars or your time into the fire, you're going to continue to nurture and retain and pre-sell these people over time so that they're actually more likely to buy down the line. This is how you get a greater return on your ads, greater return on your time, and this is how you create consistent and sustainable scale because you're not chasing for more. You have better systems in place to basically create leverage, which means getting more out of less. So you don't have to be grinding and hustling to run all these ads because if you have a good retention and nurture system, that pays for itself. And then the conversion piece, I already mentioned the AI conversion specialist, but basically, instead of having an army of setters, you just have one bot that pre-qualifies, has all the conversations, books all the calls, does all the follow-ups, and it has the speed to lead aspect where it reaches out to leads within the first 2-3 minutes so that they're more likely to actually book and close as a client. The best part about this is it operates 24/7. Weekends, evenings, holidays, does not matter. Doesn't demand higher base pay, doesn't demand higher commissions. It's just there working for you. And if this piece is not working, the entire system won't work as well. Because sure, you might have great retention pieces. Sure, you might get some people that look past it and still buy, but you cannot rely on that. You need good sales systems and good sales processes to take people from marketing into sales into now delivery, aka paying client. And the last piece here is the consulting. So basically every business is unique. They all have different aspects that need fixing. So the reason we put this pillar in is because as businesses scale, things are going to break. That's what we're there for, is to actually fix those things that break as we grow. Because every time you hit a new ceiling, something breaks. Then you grow more, something breaks. You got to fix those breaks every single time. Otherwise, the entire business crumbles over time. So this is where we come in and actually create AI custom solutions, consult on the whole side of business, not just marketing and sales, but also the operations and the admin side. So it's a front to back system to actually, again, create more time, energy, and margin inside the business to create sustainable scale. And like I mentioned, in terms of the sales alchemy side of things, I already showed you this. One client went from basically thinking they had a bunch of dead leads to generating $2.1 million in revenue from those dead leads over the course of a year. When it comes to the sticky ecosystem, we had a client that was making $10,000 pay in fulls just from a single ad that we wrote up. Again, that's leverage. Instead of just chasing more, doing more organic, or having more outbound setters go out, just run a couple ads with the right messaging to get people to want to pay you right away. When it comes to conversion modes, we generated $70,000 within 48 hours during Black Friday, which is pretty nuts. Again, these leads were already paid for, whether it was with time or money. We just took the time to actually give them value and pre-sell them along the way so that they bought later on and actually gave us a better return. And then the conversion specialist, faster speed to lead means more calls. Like I said, earlier clients experience anywhere between like a 50 to 60% boost in the amount of calls that they book because they actually contact these leads right away. And the show rate actually improves to 70 to 80% because these leads get followed up with. So this client specifically booked 47 calls just because of the speed to lead aspect. And this is just the total results, some of the best case studies that we have generated across the board. Most of them are coaches and consultants, but I've worked with multiple different businesses in the past. Now, this isn't for everybody. This is for established service-based businesses that are generating anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 a month consistently. And like I mentioned, I've worked with coaches, I've worked with consultants, I've worked with hair restoration clinics and doctors. I've worked with food celebrities, like SaaS businesses. This does not matter what industry you're in because these are based on principles, not tactics. So it's industry agnostic. This works across the board, regardless of who you are. That's first things first. The second thing is proven results. If you have case studies, testimonials, and reviews available, that's just going to make things a lot easier. It's like pouring fuel on the fire. And then also if you're marketing ready, if you're running ads or planning to, this is going to work even better. So this is exactly who we work with, who we typically operate for. If you want more details, if you want to just chat with it and see if this is actually going to make sense with you, then just take a picture of the QR code, book a call. Now, keep in mind, there's limited availability. I take all the calls. I also value my time, so there's only so many calls I can take. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually roll through step by step where we'll have a deep dive, assess whether this is actually going to help or not. If it does help, I'll create a custom game plan for you based on what your bottlenecks are at, based on what you're struggling with, because again, like I mentioned, we focus on AI and marketing. The AI side of things frees up a lot of time and energy on the operational side. So we just need more context on what you're actually dealing with so we can fix those bottlenecks. If the assessment proves that this is not going to be helpful for you or there's no sort of clear ROI for you, that's fine. I'll still give you a few things to walk away with just so that you can actually start implementing them. But if that's the case, if everything works, everything's good for you, then we're going to dive deep into the actual implementation. And I can only take on 3 clients a month because, again, a lot of these systems, they're custom built for each business that we work with, and they can be a little bit time intensive. So I'd rather take on fewer clients and actually get it right and optimize those results rather than, again, going for more. So rather work with better than more. Now, in terms of the FAQ that I clearly just misspelled here, a couple of the questions I had from this is, how does the AI know my voice and brand? Well, it knows it because we typically take all the assets from the business. So like I said, values, beliefs, the voice of the founder based on like the content that they've written, the different assets that they have. One of our prospects had like 19 books, for example, which is insane. That just makes it super easy to actually feed the AI because now it'll know the stories, it'll know the voice, it'll know the values, beliefs, and we also feed it information about the business so it has context around that. So it's just really all about how you train the AI. The more you train it, the better it's going to be. There's literally been clients where that have book calls with AI and they haven't even realized that we're talking to AI. And this has happened to me as well multiple times. And this actually like sort of leads me to the next question is, what if it wrecks my reputation? The way I see it is most people are concerned with AI being bad or it wrecking the reputation because 1, they don't properly train it. 2, they don't give it the right inputs so that the outputs are incorrect. But 3, they think that people don't want to talk to a machine. But if you train it well, then nobody's going to know, first of all, that it's talking to a machine because it's just like going back and forth with a human being. The most important part of this, though, is what I mentioned about the speed to lead. You're going to wreck your reputation much faster if we go back to the example I talked about with the business owner on the client delivery side, where he would miss out on the fact that his clients were done the work and it was now up to him, but he just missed the message. That's going to wreck your reputation even faster is if you're letting things slip up in the delivery side of things. If the client experience is bad, you're going to wreck your reputation faster if you're manually doing all the onboarding because it's taking you longer to onboard clients and to get them seeing results. You're going to wreck your reputation faster if you're actually speaking with more unqualified leads and if you're not getting to leads fast enough when they opt in because they just clearly know you don't care. You're just another marketer, another business owner that's just trying to get money from them. When you flip it and use AI, AI is not here to replace you or to replace human connection. It's actually there to enrich it because now you can actually focus on the right things that make the process much better, to actually talk to the human beings, to actually get them to where they need to be faster rather than just completely leaving them in the dark. What if I've tried AI before and it didn't work? This also I've heard a couple times. AI changes and optimizes a really fast rate. This was actually me when I first found out that AI was a thing. I did not implement it because it was just faster for me to do the work. And I was just like, screw this. But over time, I noticed people started implementing more and people are actually getting replaced by it. And you just cannot ignore it. And because it changes so fast, like it changes on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis, it improves really fast. And the nature of language learning models is it's in the name. It's a learning model. So more people that use it, the more you train it, the better it gets. So if it didn't work, it just was either that it wasn't set up correctly or you are, again, spending too much time focusing on the AI side of things rather than actually growing the business. And this is what I warn some clients about is like, yes, you can go learn and study and figure out how AI and build out the systems and processes. But again, like, is that worth your time? Is that worth $1,000, $5,000 per hour that you should be focusing on and steering the ship? Most times it's not. And that's why I recommend that they actually just bring in someone that already understands this kind of thing. How much time do I need to invest in this? If we take care of everything, like we literally take the work off your hands, like we might just have a call monthly to just consult you, and we might go back and forth with some like exchanges some assets. Basically, we take the time off the plate. Now all that time is yours to focus on whatever else you need to focus on. If you decide to do this on your own, then expect to spend anywhere between, 5, 10, 20 hours just figuring out AI and like learning about it and researching it. Like I've been going really deep over the last few weeks, and a lot of my time has just been going to research. So expect that. And then how long until I see results? As you saw, one of our clients, within 5 days, they were able to pull in $67,500. Now, caveat on that, it took us maybe a week and a half to get the systems ready and to get everything set up for that. So it might have taken them like 2 weeks to see results, but anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks, typically that alone will pay off everything that you invested into this. So that being said, the QR code's still there. Book a call. I'm going to open up the chat for questions. If there's no questions, then we will hop off. With AI bots, what platform are you doing the back and forth conversation on for prospecting? So the AI bot that we use, it integrates with anything that basically has an API. So it integrates with things like Instagram, need to confirm with LinkedIn, Facebook for sure. Basically any social media platform that setters live inside of, like human setters, the AI can go inside of it. It also integrates with things like GHL. So if you're running ads and leads come into GHL, or honestly any other CRM, then it can also converse with them. If you're running something like cold email, then it depends on the platform. Most platforms don't have the right API for the AI to connect, but there's workaround where you can connect two to one CRM. So the AI converses through the CRM into the cold email software. What AI tool did you use for the PowerPoint? So for this, gamma.app, GAMMA.app. It's so good. Literally, the way I did this is I wrote everything out in a Google Doc, and I just fed it to Gamma, because you can upload either documents, or you could just import like a text, or just have AI completely just create something from scratch for you. So I imported my Google Doc PDF, and it just created like 60% of this. And then I went in and just tweaked it, added extra images, etc. Can you make the voice similar to yours for the AI voice calls so they think it's you? Yeah, 100%. So again, this is part of like the whole training process of it is, yes, you can take the text-based stuff as the knowledge base for it. But then when it comes to voice, it's just like, you do a couple voice recordings for it, and it'll catch on to the actual tonality, to the, the intonations that you use, to the, I forgot what the actual level of, like, whether your voice is deep, whether it's high, that kind of thing. So yes, you can definitely train the voice. We actually tested this with somebody else, and yeah, it was really good. So again, you can either use like a pre-programmed voice that's already on there that sounds like a human being, or you can program your own. Is the tech included in the price you charge, or on top? Yeah, all included. So the AI, yes. Things like ad spend, no. Things like, typically, again, depending on the CRM you use, those kinds of things, no. But yes, all the costs are included, or at least I should say 98% of them. Because the reason that we don't cover all the costs, because there's certain infrastructure that we build out inside of your business that you want to keep inside of your business. So when we build these things out, it's not fully reliant on us for it to continue to operate and work for you. It's actually they're operating behind the scenes. So we want to keep it inside of your business rather than locking access to it for ourselves, and then you just completely lose access to it. So if you have questions, feel free to just reach out to me on social media. You know where I'm at. Or if you took a picture of the QR code, then you can book a call with me and we'll chat. Otherwise, we'll talk later.